Hi everybody, and welcome back to another one of my Dungeon Boss videos. Today we are taking a look at basically some stuff that you do outside of the game. So if you are looking to take your game to the next level, this is something that I would definitely recommend from you. And that would be to ultimately go and take a really good inventory of what your runes are. So I've been meaning to do this for a long time. Mostly because during some of these events you have to move some of your runes around, and then ultimately we kind of lose track of things. So the way that I did this is I ultimately just went into each of my individual runes in terms of the element. I listed all of the ones that I had, and I listed their stats and their basic information. I listed them in terms of their elements first, so I went just right down the list. Levels, I put 1, 2, and 3, 1 being elite, 2 being superior, and 3 being greater. And I only counted the best runes, so if they weren't legendary 5 stars, I didn't include them. Most of those I just salvage anyways. I also added in a extra column indicating the rarity that basically says something to the effect of if I thought this is one that I wanted to just make a little note of in terms of a rare piece here. So I did note a few of them that I marked as level 1 of rarity or level 2 of rarity. In some cases, the really rare ones like the enabler runes or the foresights, I put those as a rarity too. You'll also see occasionally there will be some, for example, water runes and light runes that are marked as rare because of something like a dual attack, which you do not usually see with a water rune. So I made notes of those as well. So now why would we ultimately do this? This is ultimately the big question to ask. How or why is this going to take us to the next level? And so when I'm looking at runing up here, especially as someone who's being used all the time in PvP, it's essential to make sure you have the absolute best runes on them. And as the meta changes from day to day or week to week or month to month, you find yourself with various heroes who have some of your better runes on them that are just getting wasted and you don't realize it. So case in point, when I ultimately got down past the initial wave of all of my unassigned runes, I ultimately started logging every rune that I had on every single person. And what I got to, and this was a surprising one for me, is I had what I considered a pretty rare rune on Igorok. He's got an elite cargo rune on him. And I marked this one as a rare because this is one of those few water runes that has a dual attack on it. Sure, the damage reduction is in PvE, which maybe is a little bit of a slight towards that rune. But if you're runing someone for pure attack, the likelihood of finding a dual attack water rune is going to be few and far in between. And the fact that this was an elite on Igorok, this could have gone way number of other places in my rune loadout in terms of who could have used this. This could have worked really well on Falcon or literally anybody else because I haven't used Igorok in ages, so I'm not even sure where this one came from or why it was this way. So by doing this in Excel, for example, you open up the ability to do some really handy sorts and stuff. So I put the levels as 1, 2, and 3 based on elite, superior, and greater, just so that I could do some easy sorting. But ultimately, this is going to allow me to take some stock of where my stuff is. So if I do a data sort on that first column, so I'm going to do it on the level. So I want to find all of my elite runes first, and then within the elite runes I want to sort it by the element, and then on top of that, if there's any rarity involved that I flagged, I want to see those next. So basically what I'm doing is I'm saying show me all of my elite runes first, and then how they're broken down and if there's any rarity associated with them, and then it's going to go into superior. So when I'm looking at this, I see here that I have, right from the start, I have 2 elite dark runes, a warrior and a hero one. One of them's 20% disease, and not really that important. But there's that elite warrior rune, which is a percent for an extra attack, which is actually a pretty handy one. And that actually might be really helpful somewhere. And also just looking at the first ones in terms of, there's a rare 2 sitting right up on top of there. How or why Shade is using one of my Foresight runes, an elite Foresight rune no less. I'm not sure how or why I put this on him, but I don't use Shade really at all. So this rune here is going to have to come off and go on somebody much more viable. And furthermore, you could take this and you could sort it out in terms of maybe breaking it down by hero first and just see who has what. But I'm looking at this here and saying, where are all my elite runes? And if there's elite runes that are unassigned, I'm ultimately going to be looking at some of my other heroes and say, what can I do to ultimately make this better? Or since I took an actual stock of where things are, maybe I just want to see where my enabler runes are. Because I know with this last event, a lot of people wanted to put a full enabler loadout on Ice Bloom to try and make some, some progress on that stupid boss. So if I do this on the name one, and I just do a sort on here, I can easily find it with the enabler rune. So I was one of the unlucky ones where I was retired during the massive giveaways for all the enabler runes and some of those unique ones. So I have only 4 total enabler runes. 3 of them are light runes and 1 is a nature rune. The nature one is currently unassigned, partially because this is a greater. It was a greater enabler rune and I didn't want to have lower attack on those individual people. One of the curious things in this base here is why I put one of my superior enablers on Emily. I haven't really used Emily for quite a while, so this one here could probably come off as well. And now that the event is over, I'm almost certainly going to take the superior enable off of Ice Bloom as well. Maybe put them back onto Arya, or maybe look to someone else who needs a little bump in enabling power. One of the other things you could do is look at obviously your in me, it's column H. So if I did a sort on column H, so column H is the 4th stat special. If you're looking for specific types of runes that you might have in terms of where are these other ones. Now I logged all of these 10% healer runes as rare ones because I had been looking for a long time to see if I could get a full healer loadout on Solaris, and I was having a hard time doing it, and I didn't know where all those runes were. Turns out that there's actually 2 healer runes on Emily that she doesn't need. There's one on Ice Bloom. Not sure why that is there. But ultimately, my Solaris ended up coming around pretty well anyways, even without those. But by categorizing these and ultimately making sure you're consistent with your naming convention, you can ultimately see where all of your runes lie. So if you're looking for damage penetration or damage reduction, that's the other big one. Now, the way that I put it here, I probably should have put the damage reduction and then the percent after, because now it's sorting based on percent. So if I'm looking for a bunch of damage reduction ones, I would have to ultimately go into maybe the filter and look for ones that are damage reduction. But there's a lot of damage reduction in PvPs. Maybe if you're looking for a defensive one, this is the way to go. So this is just something that I whipped up for myself for my own benefits to try and ultimately make my most powerful heroes better. So just to show case in point how this might benefit me. If we do another sort, and we're just going to do a basic sort on the hero, for example, and look at someone like Agnon. Agnon is currently using 2 superiors, actually 3 superior runes. So if I play my cards right, I might be able to get 5 elites on him instead of just 2 of them. So that's ultimately what I'm looking to do, is take some of my best heroes and make them a little bit better. Most of them, I have some pretty specific procs on them that I wanted to keep, and that's why I'm balanced between elites and superiors at this point. But there's certainly room for people to have stuff pulled off. For example, any of these other people, there's no reason for unused heroes to have any elites on them. Like Hagrim doesn't need elite runes, for example. He's got attack, defense, and then damage penetration, PvP. This is an elite rune, and I hardly ever use Hagrim anymore, so this here would be much better on someone maybe like Agnon. Even though that's a festive there, I kind of want that one. That's actually going to be one of my next videos, is talking about some of those festive runes. But how long did this actually take me? Well, to start things off, this was, if you scroll for a while, there was 294 line entries in this. It took me probably a good solid hour and a half, maybe longer, to document these thoroughly. But I think the information that we get back from this is ultimately going to be very, very beneficial. And I would, like I said, recommend this to a lot of people who are looking to kind of take stock of where they're at and how they can get better, because this is a very tangible way to do so. The downside to this now is as you start getting more runes and start changing them around, makes sense that you probably want to update this sheet as well. So if I take something off of Valkane and put a different one on, I want to make sure that I unassign the one that's attached to him now and make sure I log the other one that I assigned back to him so that I can actually use this sheet moving forward. Otherwise, you're going to spend another hour or two doing this the next time, and the next time, the next time. It's not really a good productive use of time. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or suggestions in terms of how you go about doing a minimum maximum for your heroes and making them better, I would welcome the advice. Otherwise, that's all I got for now, so we will see you again next time. Thanks.